Look at this. This carrot came out of the ground in September last year, and I'm standing here on the 22nd of May. That is over 8 months, and there is no softness, no rot, no loss of colour and no shrivelling. 8 months in storage and it looks like this, and every single one of them is the same. This did not happen by accident, and it did not happen because I have some special climate or some rare variety that nobody else can get. It happened because of a system, a complete growing and storage system that I've been running for years in my Welsh garden. And in this video, I'm going to show you every part of it. From the day I prepare the bed, through the sowing and germination, through the growing season and feeding, all the way through to harvest that you're looking at right now, and the exact storage method that kept these carrots in this condition from September to May. I also grow parsnips this exact same way, and if you asked in the comments of my original video whether this works for parsnips, you're about to get the answer. This is a complete system from seed to storage. Let me take you through it. The growing side of this takes about an afternoon to set up. The storage method is one of the oldest in existence, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why that carrot looks like that in the end of May. That is what we're building today. Carrots have a reputation for being difficult, and that reputation is not undeserved, because when most people grow carrots, they fail. They get forked roots, they get green shoulders, and they get a carrot root fly damage that ruins the crop before harvest. Or they get nothing at all because the seed dried out a few days before it even germinated. And the frustrating thing is that every single one of those problems has a straightforward cause. And once you understand that cause, the solution is simple. Forked roots happen when growing roots hit an obstacle, a stone, a lump in the soil, a change in density. The root cannot go through it, so it goes around it. The result is a fork. Green shoulders happen when the top of a carrot pushes out of the ground as it grows, a process called heaving, and is exposed by light. Any carrot tissue exposed to the light will go green. Carrot fly damage happens when you have not protected the crop at the right time and the fly gets in to lay her eggs. Poor germination happens when the seed surface dries out before the seed could establish. Every one of those problems is solved by the system we are about to build. The system does not try to work around the problem. It removes the conditions that creates the problem in the first place. And that is the single most biggest difference. This is the foundation, a raised bed filled completely with sharp sand. Not compost, not topsoil, sharp sand. And the reason comes back to a problem we just talked about. We need a growing medium that the root can travel through from the surface all the way down to the bottom with zero resistance, straight down, unobstructed. And sharp sand, when it's damp, holds a cavity perfectly. When I core it out with a pipe, the hole holds its shape. The walls do not collapse and the column stays clean and ready to fill. Compost alone doesn't do this, and neither does topsoil. Sharp sand gives you the structural stability to make the coring method work. The depth of the bed matters. You want enough depth to allow your chosen variety to grow to its full length without hitting the bottom and being forked. The bed gives Sweet Candle, the variety I grow, exactly the depth it needs. For those of you watching outside the UK who are not sure what sharp sand is, it's a coarse angular sand used in the construction industry. It is sometimes called horticultural grit or coarse builder's sand. What you want to avoid is fine beach sand or play sand. It needs to be coarse and angular. Fine sand compacts too tightly and will not drain the way we need it to. I keep a membrane over the bed between the seasons to keep it clean and weed free and also contained. When the time comes to plant, I lift the membrane, soak the sand thoroughly and I leave it to sit. Damp sand holds a core, dry sand crumbles back into the hole, That moisture is not optional. It is the thing that makes this whole coring method work. Soak it, leave it, then we can core. Before we touch the bed, the compost needs to be prepared, and it needs time to sit once it's mixed. This is not something you prepare immediately and sow into. The compost needs to settle and the moisture needs to distribute evenly through it before a seed goes anywhere near it. For every 30 litres of sieve compost, I add 3 things. Bone meal, 60 grams per 30 litres. Bone meal is a slow release phosphorus source. Phosphorus drives root development. It builds the carrot from the bottom up, creating density and structure in the root. It breaks down over the full growing season, so it is feeding the root from early on right through to harvest. This is not a quick acting fertiliser, it is a long-term root builder. If you have issues with wildlife coming after the bone meal, just use a high phosphorus feed. Calcified seaweed, 85 grams per 30 litres. Calcified seaweed does 2 things. It conditions the growing medium and raises the pH gently, which carrots respond well to. And it provides a broad range of trace minerals that build flavour. A carrot grown in mineral depleted compost tastes flat. It looks fine, but it has no depth of flavour. Calcified seaweed is what gives you a carrot that actually tastes awesome. And horticultural silver sand, mixed generously through the compost. This keeps the column free draining, even inside a perfectly prepared growing core. You need the water to move through the medium rather than sit in it. Silver sand ensures that drainage even when the column is packed tightly, and the compost must be sieved. This step cannot be skipped or hurried. Any lump, any stone, any undecomposed material in that column and the growing root will find it. The root will hit it and fork. All of the effort of building this system goes to waste because of something that a sieve would have caught. Work through all the compost until it's completely smooth and uniform. It should feel light and consistent from the top to the bottom and when it goes into the column. Once mixed, leave it to dry. Do not add water at this stage. The reason is important. When you fill a column with dry compost, you can work it all the way down to the bottom of the hole. It feeds cleanly, fills every part of the column, and you can pack it right up to the surface with no gaps. Damp compost clumps. It bridges across the column and leaves voids underneath it that you cannot see and you cannot reach. Fill the columns first. Get the compost all the way down. Use an old cane to tamp it down, ensuring you remove all air pockets. Level it off at the surface and then add a plastic ring. More on that later. Water gently after all the columns are filled and the compost will begin to settle. As it settles, it drops below the surface. Top it up and add a little more dry mix and water again. Keep going until the column holds the level with the surface and stays there after watering. Now leave it, at least a few hours at minimum before you sow. Overnight is better. You want the moisture to distribute evenly through the column and the compost to fully settle before the seed goes anywhere near it. This is a 3-inch diameter drain pipe. You'll find this in any builder's merchants or plumbing supplier. It is not a specialist piece of equipment. It is a standard pipe. Just at the top we tape over to cause a seal. This is important to hold the sand in the pipe when we're coring. However, we then drill 2 holes and these are dual purpose. First, they allow air to escape when we push it into the sand and fill the pipe. And secondly, a bar can be placed through to help them be pushed down. If you're having any issues, this really helps. The sand is now damp, the compost is prepared. It is now time to core. Push the pipe straight down, ensuring there's no angle. Push it firmly to the base of the bed. You can give it a gentle twist as you go, which helps the sand compact around the outside of the pipe and keeps the walls clean. For each hole, I take 1/3 of the sand at a time. If you go most of the way, the last section won't stay in the pipe if it doesn't have enough volume. So take 1/3 at a time. It's also easier on you. And there is your growing column, clear from the surface to the bottom of the bed. The sand walls hold because the moisture gave them structure. This is why we soak the bed first. Now, fill the column from the top. Work the compost down gently as you go to eliminate air pockets. You want it solid and consistent all the way down through with no voids. Fill it right to the surface of the sand and level it off. Then move across the bed and repeat. Work in a grid pattern, spacing each column so you can comfortably reach every single one, and so the foliage from each growing carrot will have enough room as the season progresses. Each one of those columns is a carrot or a parsnip, which I'll come to later. This bed stays in place indefinitely. The sand is the structure and it does not need replacing. After each harvest year, you core out the spent compost and you place this as a mulch onto your growing beds elsewhere in the garden, and then you can refill with fresh prepared mix and the bed is ready again. This is the answer to the question so many of you asked in the comments of the original video. What do you do with the bed in year 2? The sand stays, the compost is what you refresh. Nothing else changes. This is probably the most underrated detail in the whole system. A 2-inch ring cut from the same 3-inch pipe. And it does 2 jobs that matter from the day you sow right through to harvest. Job 1, when you water after sowing, that ring prevents the seed from being displaced. Without it, the first watering washes the seeds off the surface of the column, and you end up with gaps, uneven germination, or seeds that end up growing in the sand where it cannot establish. The ring keeps everything exactly where you placed it. Job 2 is about what happens later in the season. As the carrot develops and grows larger, the shoulders of the root begin to push upwards through the surface of the compost. This is called heaving, and it happens in almost every system. The growing root pushes up as it gets bigger. Any part of the carrot's shoulders that are exposed to light turn green. It is not poisonous in the way green potato flesh is, but green carrot shoulders are bitter and they reduce the quality of what you have grown. With the ring in place, all you need to do when you see it, is the shoulders beginning to pop through, is to top up the column with a small amount of compost. The ring gives you the depth to do that without the compost spilling onto the surrounding sand. You cover the shoulders, they stay in the dark, the carrot stays clean all the way to harvest. I always leave the rings in place for the full season. Once they're sitting on the columns, they're doing a job. There is no reason to remove them. The variety I grow is Sweet Candle. I've grown this carrot for years and it is one I keep coming back to. Sweet Candle is a Nantes type carrot, which means it grows straight with a blunt end and it's genuinely sweet. In this system, it performs consistently. It fills the column without forking and it stores beautifully. As you saw in the start of this video, if you're asking why Sweet Candle over other varieties, the honest answer is that I trialled it alongside others and it consistently produced the best results in this specific system. The Nantes type suits the column depth and it gives a carrot that is worth every part of the effort. Into each column, sow 2 seeds, not just 1. The reason is simple. Carrot seed does not guarantee 100% germination, even under ideal conditions. 2 seeds give you a safety net. If both germinate, you deal with that, which I will come to. If one fails to germinate, you still have your carrot. 1 seed per column and a poor germination day can mean half your columns are empty. Use a label or something else to make a small divot in the compost and drop a seed into it. Then just push the compost back over the seed. There is no need to bury this really deep. A few millimeters or 1/8 of an inch is ideal. Water gently. The ring protects the seed from being displaced. It is real important to ensure the seed never dries out while they're germinating. If you can't be there to water, cover them with damp paper towels or newspaper until you see the first seeds germinate. And now we wait. The moment seeds are in, I log it in GrowTrack. The variety Sweet Candle. the date, today, the bed they're in is the sand bed, the number of columns sown, done. That sounds simple, but what it means is that from this moment, GrowTrack is tracking this plant. It knows what was planted, where it was planted, and when, and it will follow it all the way through to the day we use the last carrot from storage. I'll show you what that looks like at harvest, and then again when these go into the containers. And I want to show you something specific at the end of this video that you will not believe until you see it. But for now, the sowing is logged. The season has started and we leave them to germinate. Once the seed is germinated, you will have columns where both seeds came through. 2 shoots growing from the same column. Wait until the first true leaves have developed. Then it's time to decide. You need to keep one and remove the other. And this is the detail that most people get wrong. You do not pull the unwanted seedling out. You cut it. When you pull the seedling, the roots are already developing, and in a column this close together, they're intertwined. Pulling one disturbs the other. You can physically pull the carrot you're keeping out of position or damage its early root system. Either way, you've harmed the plant that you were trying to protect. So, make sure to cut it instead. Use a clean scissors and cut at the base. The remaining seedling is completely undisturbed and the cut seedling will not regrow. Always keep the strongest looking of the two. If they look identical, keep either one. What matters is that you end up with one strong, undisturbed carrot per column. 2 things go into this bed once the seedlings are in and thinned: the soaker hose and the insect mesh. First, the soaker hose. The soaker hose delivers water slowly directly to the base of the growing columns without wetting the foliage. Once the mesh goes over this bed, we want moisture at the roots and not sitting on the leaves. Wet foliage in a closed environment encourages problems we do not want. The soaker hose makes watering simple and targeted. Connect it to your water source and the bed waters itself without you needing to lift the mesh every time. Now the mesh, and this is not optional. Carrot fly is the most destructive pest for this crop that it faces in the UK and across much of Northern Europe. The female carrot fly is attracted to the smell of carrot foliage. She lays her eggs at the base of the plant. The larvae hatch and tunnel into the root. By the time you harvest, the damage is inside the carrot. You cannot see it from the outside. You cut the carrot open and it is finished. A lot of garden educators will tell you that if your bed is over 3 feet high, you don't need to worry about this because the carrot root fly are low-flying insects and can't fly that high. And I'm here to tell you that's rubbish, because what they forget is that root fly that's lifted on winds into your bed, and once they're there, it's game over. Insect mesh stops this completely. Not partially, completely. The mesh is a physical barrier the fly cannot pass through. No need for chemicals, no stress about finding the right companion plants, and no guesswork. The mesh goes on at the right time and the carrot fly does not get near this crop. The edges must be secured, every edge. If there's a gap, the fly will find it. Weigh it down, peg it, fix it to the frame. It does not matter how you secure it as long as it's secure all the way around. And once it's on, it stays on. After the seedlings are thinned and protected, carrots generally are low maintenance through the growing season. The system we've built is designed to let the root develop without interruption. For the first 8 weeks after germination, leave them completely alone. The compost mix that you prepared already has everything that the root needs for this period. The bonemeal is releasing slowly. The minerals are there. Feeding too early with the wrong balance pushes the plant into producing more leaf at the expense of the root. You end up with large, lush tops and small, undeveloped carrots underground. More leaf is not what we want, more root is. After 8 weeks, I begin feeding calcified seaweed diluted in a watering can once every 2 weeks, from that point until harvest approaches. calcified seaweed at this stage is not pushing rapid growth, it is building quality, a slow, steady mineral supply that the root absorbs over time. Combined with the bone meal already in the column, you are feeding this carrot with exactly what it needs to develop density, sweetness, and storage quality. 2 weeks apart, every visit, lift the mesh, water with calcified seaweed solution, replace the mesh. That is it, the entire growing season maintenance program. For everyone who asked in the comments of my original carrot video whether this system works for parsnips, here is your answer. Yes, I grow my parsnips exactly the same way. The same sharp sand bed, the same 3-inch drain pipe. For the coring, the same compost mix with bone meal, calcified seaweed and horticultural silver sand, sieved in the same standard. The same rings, 2 seeds per column and cut the weekend after germination, never pull. The same insect mesh protection and the same fortnightly feeding schedule. The variety I grow is Gladiator. It's an F1 parsnip that produces long, straight, well-formed roots with excellent favour. In this system, it performs consistently well. If you struggled with parsnips in open ground because of stony or heavy soil, this system removes every obstacle that was causing the problem. There is one difference worth knowing about parsnips specifically though. Parsnips benefit from frost. The cold converts the starches in the root into sugars. That conversion is what gives a parsnip its distinctive deep sweetness. A parsnip that has never experienced frost is edible, but it's not at its best. I harvest my parsnips in the autumn alongside the carrots, but I intentionally leave some in the ground past the first frosts before lifting them. Those are the ones with the best flavour, and if you can wait, wait. For storage, the same sand clamp method works for parsnips. Layer them in damp, sharp sand the same way in a frost-free, cool, dark location. They'll hold well through winter and into early spring. Everything else is identical. If you can grow a carrot with this system, you can grow a parsnip. So this is what September looks like from this system. This is sweet candle growing in 3-inch compost columns in a sharp sand bed in my garden in Wales. No special conditions, the same rain, the same temperature, the same growing season as any other garden at this latitude. Straight, consistent, no forks, because there was nothing in the growing path to force the root to divert. No green shoulders, because the rings let us cover them when they pushed up. And no carrot fly damage, because the mesh was on from the beginning. When you harvest from this system, the carrot comes out of the column cleanly. The column is pure, sieved compost with no resistance. You ease them out by hand, simply pushing down on the carrot and then pull. That pushing down breaks the friction and reduces any breakages. You do not need to dig. There's nothing to dig around. Shake the loose compost back into the column as you go. It saves you material and it keeps the bed tidy. Trim the foliage cleanly and do not wash the carrots before storage. The skin of freshly harvested carrots has a natural protective layer on it. Washing removes it and significantly reduces how long the carrot will keep. Leave them unwashed, store them as they are. Remember when I logged the sowing earlier? That entry is still here. The variety, date, bed, all of this exact as I put it in. Now I update it with the harvest, how many I lifted, the weight if you want to record that, and the date. GrowTrack is following this plant from seed. I know what went in, I know what came out, and I now know that these go into storage. I'm going to show you the part of GrowTrack that I use all winter long. People have been storing root vegetables in clamps for hundreds of years. A traditional field clamp is a mound of roots covered with straw for insulation and then covered with a layer of earth. It keeps the temperature inside stable through winter. It keeps the light out and it keeps the roots in the dark. And it's also in cool, stable conditions that they were in underground. And it works. What I use is a modern version of exactly the same principle, and instead of building a mound in a field, I use plastic storage containers in my shed. The containers are standard plastic tubs or containers, nothing specialist or expensive. Any box or container will do. And you do not need a lid, as this will cause condensation, which could cause rot later. Into the bottom of the container, I add a layer of damp, sharp sand. The same sand that we used in the growing bed. And that's why I always keep a bag of sand that I cored out of the bed. Squeeze a handful of it until it holds together without releasing water. That's the ideal moisture level that you want throughout the container. The carrots go in next, and this is the detail is important. They must not touch each other. Any point where two carrots are in contact is a point where moisture can sit and where rot can start. If one carrot begins to rot, it spreads to the ones touching it. Keeping them separated is how you prevent that chain reaction. A layer of sand covers them, then the next layer of carrots, spaced apart, not touching, and then more sand, and you continue this pattern until the container is full. Place them into a frost-free, cool, dark location, a shed or a garage, a basement, a cool pantry or food store. The three things you need are frost-free, cool and dark. Frost will damage the cells of the carrot and ruin it. Too warm and the carrot begins to shrink or to sprout, and light triggers growth with deterioration. Frost-free, cool and dark covers everything. Use as many containers as your harvest requires and then leave them. That is the whole storage method. Sand layers, dark, cool, frost. It takes 20 minutes to pack a container and it keeps carrots in good conditions for 8 months. The containers are filled and in the shed, and now I log them in GrowTrack. GrowTrack has a storage section built for exactly this. I add what is here. How many carrots, the storage method, the date they went in, container 1, container 2, however many you have. And here's what makes this really useful through the winter. Every time I go to the shed and use some of these carrots, I log how many I took or what weight. GrowTrack removes that amount from the total, which means at any point through the winter, I can open this app and I know exactly how many carrots are left in those boxes, without emptying them, without counting, without guessing. I can also see what I've used. I do not need to open a container and dig through the sand to know what I have. The app tells me. That is the storage section of GrowTrack, and it is the part I use most between harvests and spring. The great thing about this is at the end of the season, you will know exactly how many pounds or kilos of veg that you use, and this will give you information about whether you're planting too little or too much, which could save you space and money for seeds that are not required. The link to GrowTrack is in the description below. September to May. These were in the ground in my garden last September. It's been sitting in damp, sharp sand in this shed ever since. And here we are in the middle of May. They're firm with no rot, no softness, no shriveling, and the colour is still there. 8 months on. This is not a special variety or a controlled environment. This is a standard carrot grown in sand bed with a Welsh garden, packed in a plastic container of damp sand and put into a shed. And it is still perfectly edible 8 months after harvest. What that means in practical terms is that one season's crop of carrots grown and stored this way can feed you from harvest in September, beautiful, through autumn, still through fresh, winter, and all the way into the following spring. From one bed, one season of work, and one simple storage method that cost almost nothing to set up. And I want to show you something before we finish. This is GrowTrack, and this entry right here is sweet candle sowing. I just logged for it at the start of this season. The variety, the date I sowed them, the bed. Later, Rowan will complete the harvest log and the storage entry with everything that went into these containers. I am now standing here on the 22nd of May, and GrowTrack still knows that last year's carrots are still in storage. It knows exactly how much weight or how many are left because every time I've used some, I logged it. By simply telling Rowan by voice to log it. And it's tracked that plant from day of seed, went into the ground to right now, from seed to consumption. That is what GrowTrack does. And if you're like me and you grow all your own fruit and veg, it does the same for all of them. You always know what you planted, when you harvested it, how much you stored, and how much you still have left. For anyone who wants to try it, the link is in the description below. The season's already underway, and when we get to harvest, I'll bring you back here and you will see the full results from this year, from this bed, using this method, and we will find out what September brings. But the system does not change from one year to the next. Build it once, refresh the compost each season, and run it every year. And if you get the growing right and you get the storage right, next May you can pull carrots out of a box in your shed that looks exactly like this. If you want to see the earlier version of this video and the 2 other methods I use when I sow carrots, if you're on a TV, go and search for the video. It's called Your Soil Isn't the Problem with Your Carrots. If you're on any other device, then this is the video you should watch. I'm Tony O'Neill and this is Simplified Gardening. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.